Welcome to the Contract Express webinar on Analytics, Datasheets, and Custom Dashboard. My name is Sarah Ahn, and I'm a Document Automation Specialist for Contract Express at Thomson Reuters. In this webinar, we're going to be learning how to generate usage reports in three broad categories. Firstly, we'll see how to create pre-built process or usage reports which show you the usage activity of users in various different types of reports. Secondly, we'll look at what datasheets are and how to configure and generate them to see the key data for documents generated in Contract Express. And thirdly, the custom dashboard, which allows users the ability to create usage reports with datasheets and the underlying data source. Analytics is available to admin users in order to view user activity within Contract Express and build various process reports. Here, you will see three items. The dashboard outlines the KPIs within the past 30 days and a snippet of the various usage reports you can generate, and the time frame can be set. You also have the reports page, which is a repository of all of the reports you have generated under My Reports, all reports generated, and those recently generated. You also have custom dashboards, which give you a real visual representation of the analytics you want for a particular set of data source and the documents that were generated from it. Coming back into dashboard, here you'll find the KPI widget. KPIs are calculated for the last 30 days and show these four items. Self-service documents show how many documents have been executed without legal assistance. For example, it could be a document where negotiations or approvals were not invoked. Then you have your approvals and how many were done on time, how many negotiations were carried out on time, and also how many e-signatures were done on time. Please note, negotiations KPI will not show if negotiations is turned off in your admin settings. You'll also see that these are color-coded. Green indicates that more than 90% of the documents are on time. Red indicates about 0 to 60% are on time. And you also have an amber, which indicates that about 60 to 90% are on time. Here on the right, you'll see the Fast Actions widget, which is a quick indication of some of the recent actions in the past 30 days. How many documents were updated, how many templates were added, and how many users were added. On the left here are your overdue items widget with an indication as to the due date, so you know which documents are overdue for either approvals, negotiations, or e-signatures. To view a full list of overdue documents, click on the See All in Tasks button. These are your reporting widgets, and there are four types that allow you to view the corresponding pre-built process reports. What you are seeing now on the dashboard are built for the last 7-day period, but you can set a time frame of your choice for these reports if you click in the Go to Report. To give you a quick overview of each of the four reporting widgets you see for the 7-day period, distribution of documents by status shows the status changes of documents within the last 7 days. Documents created by a user shows the top 7 users who have created the highest number of documents. Current status of all documents show the number of documents in each Contract Express status for the current date. And the template popularity, which is showing the most popular templates that have been used within the last 7 days, along with how many documents have been created for each template. You can view each complete report by clicking on the Go to Report link. As a result, the Reports tab will be displayed where you can view the report and change its input parameters if required. Let's have a look at a report. Here, there are two types of reports. The distribution report allows you to review trends and activity during a chosen period, and the point-in-time report allows you to view snapshots of user and document activity for the chosen period. Let's have a look at a distribution report. First, choose the templates that you want to run the report for, and click on Add. Under Scope, you have by single status or by group statuses for this particular report. You can choose single statuses to see the report broken down by all document statuses individually. However, if you want an aggregated view, you can select by group statuses. And the groups are as follows: Drafted, Executed, and New. Add in the statuses of your choice and click on Add. And then choose a period of your choice. You can either select from the last 24 hours to last year, or a custom period, in which case you will have to select the start date and the end date. You can also choose to exclude any suspended or deleted documents and run the report. Click on Expand All to see the user reporting for all the statuses chosen, which are broken down into months, and the value for each month for that status. It is also possible to save a report with a unique name. To do this, click on Save Report at the top right corner, enter unique name for a set of input parameters, otherwise you can leave it at its default title and press Save. Now, when you come into My Reports, you can see your Save Report is available here. But just while we're on this page, the All Reports tab contains your own Save Reports and also any reports saved by other admin users. And the Recent Reports folders the last 10 reports that have been run by all admin users. Coming back into the report we just ran, admin users can also download Excel or PDF versions of the report. To get an Excel version, click on Export, and to get a PDF version, click on Print. Now let's have a look at another report category, which is a point-in-time report. There are many report types, but let's say we want to see how many people are working on document generation in Contract Express. So clicking on Total Documents Created by User. You can look on a user basis, but you can also select by groups or by subsites if you have created any groups or subsites. And now add in your users. Add in your templates. And select the period of your choice. Click on Exclude Suspended and Exclude Deleted if you want to exclude these types of documents, and run the report. And if I expand here, you'll see the types of documents Annie has been generating in the past 6 months, and you'll also see how many documents Harry has generated in the past 6 months as well. Remember, you can either export, print, or save the report. As a legal department head or senior attorney overseeing contract generation work done by his or her team members, analytics is a great way to view the team's KPIs, see if any templates need to be revised because it is not being generated enough, and manage workloads within the team. Datasheets allow you to see key document data after you generate a document. You have to first have Datasheets enabled in your Features page in your admin settings in order to create Datasheets. Once enabled, in your Documents tab, you can click on Apply Datasheet and then New Datasheet. Let's have a look at all the employment agreements that were generated, so we'll give this datasheet a unique name first. Then, start adding the variables that you want to bring the data from by clicking Add Columns. You may wish to bring data from the metadata template, so leave Template as metadata and select Columns. For example, you may want to know who generated the employment contract, when it was generated, the name, and also the status at which the employment agreements are at, and click on Add Columns. Then go back to Templates and select the relevant template of your choice, in this case, the employment agreement. And you will now see the names of the variables used specifically in the employment agreement. And here I will select name, position, salary, and type, adding them into your columns. Clicking Apply. You can also select the repeat context for variables that are repeated. So let's see the repeat context for a datasheet that is already created. Here you will see course and course data is repeated 3 times, each with the numbers 1, 2, and 3. In this employment agreement, users generating this contract can add more than 1 course for an employee. However, for the purpose of this datasheet, it is limited so that the datasheet only shows 3 courses and their dates. Therefore, if you see in this data sheet, you have the data brought in for all the variables selected, including the 3 courses and their respective dates. Click on this pencil icon to view and edit an existing data sheet, and here you can either clone or delete it. You can also set access permissions for this data sheet. Here you will see there are 2 groups, and if you have more than one group, the order is important. For example, you'll see that the data sheet is shared with the group HR negotiators and the group NDA approvers. Assuming a Contract Express user is added to both these groups, that user will only have read access to this data sheet because HR negotiators group with only read access precedes NDA approvers, which has full access. Therefore, the ordering is important, and you can drag and drop by clicking on the dots and moving them either up or down. In sorting, you can define the sorting order for the datasheet output. First by indicates the first sorting rule that is applied to the datasheet grid. And here in this example, the employee name is in descending order, so the datasheet is going to populate the data based on the names of the employees from Z to A. You can also have a second by option, which is a second sorting rule that is applied to the grid after the first sort rule has been applied. And lastly, you can also define the condition for selecting documents. Here in this example, we want documents that were created not only from the employment agreement template, but also where the employee's salary is equal to and over $100,000. If you have multiple conditions, you can group them to determine the order in which the filtering is applied using the group button. And lastly, if you wanted a copy of this data sheet, click on the 3 dots, click on download to get an Excel version. Allow admin users to create charts and tables to visualize the data caption questionnaires across all documents. We'll learn how to create a simple custom dashboard using the data available in documents. In other words, the charts that you can create for custom dashboards are built from data sheets. Therefore, in order to create a custom dashboard, you will need to create a data sheet and then using that data sheet to create your custom dashboard. In your Analytics page and in Custom Dashboards, click on New Dashboard and enter the name for the dashboard. Then select your data sheet and click on Create. You'll now be presented with an editor where you can drag items from the toolbox menu into the dashboard, bind data to an item, and configure the style options for each item, such as color, labels, and layout. You can also click on any of these icons in the middle to create a new item. Some of the most common ones being charts, which support different types of series from simple bar graphs, pie charts, tree maps, which allow you to visualize data in nested rectangles that are called tiles, gauges, which display a series of KPI elements, and many more. Let's create a bar graph. Click here, and by doing so, brings up a panel to your left, and by clicking on this binding cogwheel, you'll be presented with values, which provide a count or calculation of the selected data point, which become the y-axis of your chart, arguments, which are the category labels for the x-axis of your chart, series, which are used to label individual charts which act as a z-axis of your chart should you have a z-axis. And lastly, hidden dimensions and hidden measures, which can be used to perform various data shaping operations by measures or dimensions that do not directly take part in the visual representation of data. Let's start by adding in the values. You can add more values if you wish. You can also change certain features of your y-axis. For example, you can change the name of your axis labels under the caption setting. You can also configure the plot on secondary axis so that the y-axis heading appears on the right. And with arguments, select your parameter as well. So for example, by clicking on name, I now see exactly which employee is getting what salary, and as you can see, The bar graph is being designed as I plug in the variables for my parameters, with data for employee salary appearing on the y-axis and the names of the employees on the x-axis. It could also be that you want to add more data here. So for example, the x-axis bar could be showing both the employee name, but also the position. And now you'll get a visual representation of the salary that the employee is getting based on their job. Like with values, you can also change the settings for how the x-axis data is being shown. So here under top N, we can enable this feature, leave mode on for top, and increase the count to perhaps 10. And now the bar graph will show the top 10 employee positions. Coming down to series, it could also be that your chart could have an additional z-axis in addition to the y and x-axis. For example, if I choose employment type, you'll now see the bar graph has changed and color-coded with full-time employees in green and part-time employees in red. For pie charts where you have selected data points for values, arguments, and series, because this is not a 3D graph, in pie charts, the z-axis, which is equivalent of the series section, will be represented in multiple pie charts. Here in this example, we want to show the status of the lease agreements, when it was modified, or who it was modified by, and whether it included a guarantor, which is shown in two pie charts, one showing lease agreements with guarantors and another showing lease agreements without guarantors. Coming back into the bar graph, if you don't like this bar graph and maybe at the stage with all your data selected, you want to change it to a different graph, you can click on this convert to icon here, select the type of graph you want to change it to, and simply see it change. You can also click on any of these chart icons under Common if you want to add multiple graphs or charts in one custom dashboard. Clicking on an icon, you'll see an empty box appear where you can start binding your data like we've just done now. So if I show you one that's already been made, here for the lease agreement dashboard, this gives us an indication of all of the leases that were generated through this Contract Express environment. So here for the lease agreement dashboard, you have multiple graphs, one showing lease agreements generated per country, a pie chart for those that had a guarantor, and then a status gauge. With this dashboard, you can also see that a filter option in the format of a list box has been added. Here, with this filter option, you'll be able to filter out certain data from the datasheet, and you can choose any of these 4 filter options on the left. The last point to cover in the custom dashboards is the data filtering option. As you can see in this pie chart, the right chart has a filter applied that is only showing lease agreements that have an answer plugged in for rent. In other words, as long as users typed out a rent value, whether this be 0 rent or $100, for example, it is counted as a document generated for the purposes of calculating user stats for this pie chart. Clicking on this cogwheel, you can see the rent variable as a parameter. So clicking on data filtering and click to set the filter criteria, you can see the filter criteria that has been applied. Here, you can filter this rent variable so that it does not equal nothing. In other words, by leaving the value filter here as empty, we are effectively saying we do not want to see any lease agreements where rent was not plugged in and has no value. If you wanted to customize this even further in the color scheme of your choice, click on the 3 lines, into color scheme, click on the data range, and choose a color of your choice. Whatever changes you made, remember to click on Save. We have seen how to create pre-built usage reports in the Analytics page, create and apply datasheets, and also create and apply custom dashboards. For more information, check the admin manual available on your Contract Express account. Otherwise, please contact us on contractexpress-support@thomsonreuters.com.